It's the panic hour for Jake Paul as Mike Tyson has exposed a corrupt referee for their highly anticipated fight. Yep, Jake decided to go down the dirty path to bag a win against the boxing legend, but word got out. The problem child is gearing up for the biggest fight of his career, so he's leaving no stone unturned to walk out victorious and prove himself against not just any seasoned professional, but Mike Tyson. But Iron Mike's been in the game for decades, and if Jake thinks he could fool him with corrupt referees, he needs to think again. Mike just found out what was brewing behind the scenes and has thrown a verbal smackdown that has left Jake Paul in ruins. If you've been keeping up with the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul drama, you really don't want to miss out on this video. The problem child is in tears as Mike Tyson just crushed Jake's last hope of victory in their upcoming pro bout. Turns out Jake had bribed the referee for their fight so he could land illegal blows, like shots to the back of the head without getting called out for it. Well, Mike has been in the game for too long for anyone to finesse him in the ring. "The kid's a cheater," he said. "There's nothing that he hasn't seen, and he saw this one coming from a mile away." The YouTuber turned boxer had his entire strategy mapped out to defeat Iron Mike on November 15th at the AT&T Arena. That was until Mike Tyson caught the referee red-handed negotiating with Paul's team backstage and left him with a black eye. This news surely sent shivers down Paul's spine, leaving him in full panic mode.
It was back to people just attacking Jake Paul and wanting to see me fail.
The only reason Jake Paul is still relevant in the boxing world is because of the unfair advantages he has over his opponents. He defeated Ben Askren, who had a hip injury. He also took down Nate Diaz, who was well past his prime and only fighting for the money. But with Mike Tyson, it's a whole different story. Even an injured Mike Tyson can knock Paul out in a flash. So Paul resorted to more drastic measures like bribing the referee. Let's break it down. Jake's string of epic knockout wins can't be ignored. It's this series of knockouts and orchestrated charades that got everyone to jump on the Jake Paul hype train. But truth be told, this hype train is nothing but a scam. Jake's been fooling the boxing community by knocking out 50-year-old legends who are nowhere near as fit as they once were. We see the headlines, Jake versus Diaz, but what it really means is Jake going up against a retired MMA fighter who has never stepped foot into a ring. This guy is a fraud, and it's about time we start taking guys like Michael Bisping and Joe Rogan seriously, who have been preaching about Paul's fraud from day one. Enter Mike Tyson, the heavyweight legend who pretty much shaped boxing into what it is today. Mike has connections in the fight world, and once word gets out, it reaches everyone, especially Mike. Jake has been looking way too confident in his upcoming fight with Tyson. Now the athlete has his work cut out for him as he's stepping into the ring with the baddest man on the planet, but all that overconfidence in Jake? It was alarming and left fans speculating there was a whole other story to this. You don't just wake up one day and decide you want to fight Mike Tyson. Plus, he didn't stop here. The guy claimed that he would knock Tyson out cold in the ring.
I would win. Serious as a heart attack. I think he thinks that he would knock me out, and I think that is maybe the reason why he doesn't want to do the fight, because I think he wants to avoid maybe knocking me out.
He doesn't realize how good you are.
Exactly.
If he knew, maybe he would.
Maybe the fight would happen.
You think you can knock him out?
Can I ask you a question?
I think there's a very,
that's
very high chance of that. He's not the same fighter that he once was, and he knows that.
Hear me out, Jake's bout with Mike Tyson is on a whole different level than any of the athletes he has fought before. For the most part, the problem child has only stepped into the ring with retired MMA stars and NBA players. Yeah, Tommy Fury is the only seasoned professional he has faced, and let's not forget that Paul was handed his butt back to him in that one. Talk about a more humiliating first loss in the ring. Jake would never challenge Mike out if he hadn't figured out a way to come out victorious. Jake being Jake would obviously not do what any other athlete would and gear up like a bettor. Nope, this guy was ensuring his win with a corrupt referee. When you're stepping into the ring with a man pushing his 60s, it's not that hard to come up with a plan to stop him. Come on, one illegal blow and Tyson will be down. I know he's the baddest man on the planet, but even the best heavyweight of all time can't defeat Father Time. Mike's still the man who bit off ears in the ring and became the youngest heavyweight champion, but his body simply can't keep up with his mind anymore. With a corrupt boxer in the ring, Jake really stood a chance at coming out on top. The boxing world is exploding with Mike's recent confessions. No one really expected Paul to stoop down this low, right? I mean, I know I'm talking about Jake Paul here, but bribing the referee? That's low, even for Jake Paul. Fans have been speculating that the athlete had been trying to duck his epic fight against. Boxing pros have been trying to knock some sense into Paul by advising him to give this bout second thoughts. Hear it from Joe Rogan. He's been in the boxing world long enough to know that fighting Mike Tyson, even at 58, isn't a walk in the park.
Beat Larry Holmes. I think that Mike Tyson is the best heavyweight of all time. I don't think any fucks with him.
Mike Tyson is the best heavyweight of all time. I don't think anybody fucks with him. I bet Joe didn't know about Jake's sinister plans to cheat. Jake's been manipulating the fight world for years now, and boxing fans are sick of his games and charades. Not only has he been posing like a pro boxer, but he's been out there challenging everybody and their grandmas to step into the ring with him. This guy had been shouting from the rooftops that he wanted to step into the ring with Tyson. Yeah, Paul was begging for this bout, but since the moment Mike Tyson exposed his plans of bribing the referee, he has been afraid that it might never see the light of the day. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you know that Mike and Jake were supposed to put on gloves against each other on July 20th at the AT&T Arena, but the boxers had to pull the plug on this fight last minute due to Mike Tyson's health hiccup. Mike suffered an ulcer flare-up during a cross-country flight from Miami to Los Angeles, but the boxing legend reassured fans that this wasn't going to affect his matchup with Paul. However, he soon announced he couldn't step into the ring and the fight had to be pushed back, which took the boxing world by storm. I want to thank my fans around the world for their support and understanding during this time. Unfortunately, due to my ulcer flare-up, I have been advised by my doctor to lighten my training for a few weeks to rest and recover. My body is in better overall shape than it has been since the 1990s, and I will be back to my full training schedule soon. Jake Paul, this may have bought you some time, but in the end, you will still be knocked out and out of boxing for good. I appreciate everyone's patience and can't wait to deliver an unforgettable performance later this year. Hear me out, it turns out Jake was the one who canceled the bout and threw Mike's health under the bus. That's classic Jake Paul for you. I won't be surprised if he gets cold feet. I mean, days leading up to a fight with the heavyweight titan can make any athlete tremble in their boots. Well, you better keep an eye out for Paul bribing referees. The Paul brother is set to step into the ring with Mike Perry as a replacement for Mike on July 20th. He's pretty confident about this fight, which makes fans think if he's got plans to pull an illegal trick against Perry too. If you've been out of the loop and haven't really heard the name Mike Perry before, let me fill you in. Mike's a former UFC guy. Yep, he had an impressive run of 14-8-0 before he decided to test his waters in the bare-knuckle fighting championship. And boy, is he a beast in the BKFC. Come on, this guy is an undefeated champion who has knocked out the biggest names in the sport, so Paul will really be up for some challenge in the ring. Perry's a real athlete with some real power, so this fight is going to be a banger. Jake might be seeing Perry as a warm-up before Tyson, but if he thinks this will be easy...
You're an appetizer, brother. You're an appetizer. You're a Mike appetizer. Did you move to Florida?
Some folks are saying this is a wake-up call for Paul. Maybe a taste of how serious real boxing can be. Maybe he'll tone down the theatrics and focus on the sport itself. But others? They're calling for his head on a platter, saying he's a leech sucking the life out of a genuine sport. This whole situation throws a giant wrench into the whole influencer boxing scene. Maybe this is a chance for the influencer boxing to learn a thing or two from Iron Mike. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see how everything plays out. So there you have it, Fight World. That's all I have for you today. So what are your thoughts on Jake Paul panicking as Mike Tyson exposed him? Make sure to fill the comment section with your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more boxing news.